There we go. All right. This follows pretty much what I did a year ago. So I thought, why change it? Plus, I had the template already, so no reason to do a new one. But the first slide just talks about, shows you a snapshot of our balance sheet. And what I would add to this is that the material is on our website under the business tab, the full audit. So for any member that wants to read the footnotes and is really a geeky accountant, you can go in there and really understand. So it's available to all members for the last 2 years, 17 and 18. The good news on 18, the audit was a clean opinion, which is always a good thing, and no adjustments. I give real credit to Joyce and David and the crew here. They do a really good job. They run a conservative operation, which is always good if you're on a board to know things are done well and that there aren't any problems from an accounting standpoint. And so that's for your availability if you want to look at it. This is the same slide I had a year ago. And again, last year it showed 4 straight years of operating losses. The last column, 2019, is through September. A year ago, September, instead of $41,000 operating profit, we were at $114,000 operating loss. And for the year, we ended up about $135,000 loss. Fourth quarter is generally not a real good quarter because obviously golf rounds are down. So I think the point Leon made, we dug in, as we said last year, we were going to look hard at the budget, and we did do that. So costs have gone down and revenue's gone up. The thing that we want as a member, despite what I would say is a very unusual transition. When you think about a whole new management team coming together kind of mid-year, it really is a good accomplishment. And so right now, at least, the uncertainty is the fire. I mean, when the word came out, I came up the next day and met with Chef in the kitchen. I think we were fortunate. Now, there have been some members who will go unnamed and said maybe we would have been better off if it hadn't been discovered, a la Milburn, but that poses some other problems. Nonetheless, it is a challenge, and you'll hear more from David on the fire. I would also encourage you, if you're not subscribing on YouTube to Club Connect, it's a great way to get a 2-minute update from Joe and David on what is going on in the club. I think it's kudos to them to improve that level of communications. It's important for the membership to know what is going on a day-to-day basis, particularly with the fire. Now, here's where we're at in terms of 2020. Leon mentioned the 13th month. We wrestled with this, and I give credit to the finance committee when we kind of talked about how to go forward with it, since it was a transition year. We knew that maybe it would be best to do a one-time, which we came up with the term 13th month, and there were people that certainly needled us about the euphemism of 13th month. But the idea was to not build in a permanent dues increase until we had a chance to really dig into the budget and understand it better, and then we could come back. As Leon said a year ago, we will then begin to have regular dues increases. The other 8 clubs that participate in the Club Managers Association survey have regular dues increases, and it makes sense because costs go up every year, whether it's utilities, whether it's salaries and wages, benefits. If you run a business, you know that it'd be nice if they didn't go up, but they do. So the idea was, let's do the 13th month. Now, when we did this a year ago, we said 4.25 for golf and 75 for social. So it turned out where we were projecting the loss, it was actually less than what we thought. So we came back and said, okay, then that would justify a lower billing, which we ended up at $400 and $50 respectively for golf and social members. Now the dues increases in the past, we had one in 2009 and one in 2017. So that's not a very consistent track record in dues increases. And so for 2020 budget, we're planning on a March 1st dues increase of $50. Now what that represents, our last dues increase was 2017. So that's about a 2% per year over that 3-year period. So just slightly under the cumulative inflation rate of about 6.2% over that period of time of inflation. So that is what the board will be presented from the finance committee. When the finance committee meets in a couple weeks, we'll have hopefully a near final budget. The first real final version came today, a near final version, and then the finance committee reviews it, and then we'll recommend to the board. But that is currently the current plan. Now, where do we fit in among the 8 clubs that participate in the Club Management Association? With the $50 increase, that puts us at $855, and the average of the 8 clubs is $903. Now that makes sense to me, because we're not a full country club. We don't have all the other, thank goodness, if you've been a member of a full country club, you know, particularly pools. Pools are just a black hole as far as I'm concerned. They tend to always cost more money. I mean, look at Southland Pool. This year was open, then it wasn't open, so they're headaches. So it makes sense to me. Of the 8 clubs, we're 6th on the list in terms of where our dues will compare to the other 8 clubs. And then I would say, just again as a reminder, when we did this, it was really, the notion of the 13-month was a transition. It was the idea is let's step back and make sure we got this right before we go forward with the dues increase. But my view, and I think the finance committee so far has said, we should look at future inflationary increases, barring something unusual. I know one thing is more than 2%. Atmos, if you get your heating from Atmos, they request a 13% increase in rates. I'm not sure why, because I follow the energy industry, and natural gas rates are pretty low, but nonetheless they've requested Kansas give them a 13% increase. So hopefully they won't get all of that, but they usually ask for more than they get. The other thing that I think is important to keep in mind, we still have equity members. I'm one of those. There are 68 of us. 19, I think that's right, 19 who resigned and are waiting. It's about a 4-year wait for you to get your equity membership back. And there are 49 of us who are still active in the club. And that's a $1.5 billion, as you can see, liability the club carries as a result of having the equity members. So while it doesn't show on the financials, you think about when a new person joins, 75% of the initiation fee ends up going to people as a refund of their equity membership, and the club retains 25%. The other thing is our initiation fee has been lower. As a result, we're not generating as much money, as I've heard from some members who are on the wait list, how long it's going to take before I get my refund. And I explained to them it's a little over 4 years. That's just the reality of it right now. Leon alluded to the fact that we have an aging facility. I think one of the things we found with turnover, as we dug in and with David forming the building subcommittee, that we have a lot of deferred maintenance that probably should have been dealt with in the past, but at least now we've got a group of people who are knowledgeable, and that we're trying to address these things and get to the root cause. And that's going to cost money. We dealt a lot with the wood rot issues in the last January shutdown, and really have dealt with some of that going forward and have more to do. But it is something that's going to require our capital. The capital piece is still the $160 for full members is still about the right number based on the other clubs, and certainly should allow us to be able to address some of the deficiencies that we have in terms of the club itself. In point of turn, at least through 9 months, Leon talked about cost reductions. We have reduced, the target was about $100,000, and we're on target right now. Through September, we've gotten about a little over $80,000 cost reduction, and revenues are up. It's not been an easy year for those of us who golf, because early in the year it was very wet. Golf rounds were down. We're down over 1,000 rounds through October, and the average spend per round would result in about a $50,000 reduction in revenue, just because we're down year over year at golf rounds. So the last really good year we had was, I think, 2016, which was a great year for golf because we didn't have some of the weather problems. But it is a fact that when the weather is what it has been, people aren't here at the club, they don't stop and have dinner afterwards or have a drink, and so revenue is down since we're a golf club only. I think when you consider all the transition this year with the new management team and the fact that we had some of these adjustments, the club is doing relatively well. I wish I could tell you more about how we're going to come out on the fire. The one thing I will say, and kudos, I know JR's here somewhere, we have great insurance. We reviewed the insurance program back in earlier this year, and I felt very good about the coverages that we have. Hopefully you never need insurance. We all said, you have to have it, but it's important to make sure your coverages are good. Our property coverages are great, our business interruption coverage is fantastic. And that's a good thing for the club. Some people have said maybe being shut down will do better in the fourth quarter than we normally would. I would rather have the club available for all of us as members. But nonetheless, I think you'll hear from David that having good coverage is terribly important for the club, and we do have it, and we've obviously done it. We'll be able to test it with the claims that we're going to file. So that's really all I have on my report. I want to thank the Finance Committee because they meet almost every month. It's a couple-hour meeting, so to Leon's point, it's good that people dig in and volunteer their time and expertise because we have a good committee and they're very committed, ask good questions, and they've been a great support for me as the chair this year, and hopefully continue on.